Live-action American Dad would probably not be a total nightmare, so let's get this rolling, starting with Stan Smith. The titular American Dad has a strong chin and a penchant for action heroics, so right from the start, we have some constraints. We need an action hero who can also be a tad slubby and nail the comedic timing Stan demands. First option, Jon Hamm. The star of Mad Men hasn't had the most lucrative career since the end of his hit series. However, he's still shown off his skills, notably in the 2022 crime comedy Confess Fletch. He also has a very memorable role in 30 Rock as Dr. Drew Baird, a pediatrician who's also kind of an idiot. And I think that this kind of self-effacing humor would work wonderfully for Stan, who offers up a charismatic self-assuredness that is often predicated on very little actual intelligence. Also, I just really like Jon Hamm. Patrick Warburton, while getting up there in age, would make an excellent Stan Smith. He's got a jawline of the gods and the voice to match. His role as the Tick is similar to Stan, much in the way that Hamm's role on 30 Rock is. He's a big old dum-dum who believes himself to be nigh infallible. Channeling elements of the Tick would be a pretty smart way of approaching Stan Smith. Next up, Evan Stone as, wrong live action. And how about, Ben Affleck for Stan? He's got a good enough jawline and the acting chops to manage just fine. He's also a bona fide action star with roles in Daredevil, Batman v Superman, The Accountant, and of course the stone cold classic that is Reindeer Games. Dude's got one hell of a pedigree.
That sounds really cool.
That all said, I think that Jon Hamm wins this one. He's a little younger than Warburton, and as noted, he's got consummate comedic chops. Also, I'm hella biased and dream of one day hugging that beautiful slice of man. What about Francine Smith? The wife of Stan Smith and eccentric mother to Stephen Hailey is one of the more important characters to get right, so let's try out 3 highly competitive options. Naomi Watts is maybe getting a little up there in age, but I think she'd still be capable of filling Francine's shoes. Plus, she's age-appropriate for being the wife of Jon Hamm or Patrick Warburton. Side note, how great was she in Twin Peaks: The Return? If she can be a solid spouse for Dougie, she can certainly work with Stan. Charlize Theron isn't necessarily the best one-to-one casting for Francine, but if she ever needs to kick some ass, then she's got the chops for the role. She's also just a really strong actor in general, so I feel like she could handle the role just by virtue of being that good of an actor. Kristen Bell, meanwhile, has the most comedy bona fides. The Good Place star is legitimately hilarious, making her the most natural pick for the role. And I bet that Naomi Watts would rock the role, but I just convinced myself from Kristen Bell. So let's go with Kristen Bell. Yeah, Kristen Bell. Ring-a-ding. For Hailey Smith, we basically just need any teen or 20-something actress who can pull off a bit of a trashy punk aesthetic. Rachel Sennott, notable for her work in Shiva Baby and Bottoms, is a comedic talent that's well worth your time and who would absolutely nail the role. Meanwhile, something about Julia Butters seems like she'd make a good Hailey. You probably remember her as the little girl from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but she's since worked on The Fabelmans and the upcoming Freakier Friday. The only problem is that she's a little young for the role, at I think 16 years old, so but then we can make the assumption that this fake movie we're making will take a few years to start shooting. After all, we've got to focus on making this the masterpiece it's destined to become. So we have time. Then we've got Emma Myers, whom you might have seen as Enid Sinclair in Netflix's Wednesday, or if you're part of Earth's population, you definitely remember her role in a Minecraft movie. She probably has the best overall look for the role, but I'm gonna go with Rachel Sennott. I just think that she looks right for the part. Then there's Steve Smith, the awkward son who just wants to get a little action. Stranger Things' very own Gaten Matarazzo, or however you say his name, would make for a suitably cringy little dude. He's done with Stranger Things and has grown into a pretty capable actor, so it seems like a smart move to nab him for this massive live-action American Dad endeavor. We're obviously getting a whole bunch of sequels on account of this being just the best idea of all time, so lock him in now. Now, Steve is meant to be the youngest of the Smiths at just 14 years old, so if we're going to cast with age in mind, how about Hank Greenspan? He plays Grover Johnson in the CBS sitcom The Neighborhood, so he's already got some TV cred behind him. However, if we're going with Hollywood aging, then the 22-year-old Jaden Martell would absolutely nail the part. He was young Bill Denborough in It and It Chapter 2, as well as that little alt-right dweeb in Knives Out. I'm going to take the risk on this one and go with Hank Greenspan. I like the idea of a foul-mouthed child in the role. Why am I fumbling this? As far as Roger and Klaus go, I wouldn't worry too much. Just use the glorious power of CGI and bring back Seth MacFarlane and D. Bradley Baker. I did see on Reddit a user suggest German actor Till Schweiger for Klaus, and that's honestly pretty spot on. In fact, let's go ahead and use some AI to see what Till Schweiger would look like as some sort of fish person monstrosity. Excellent. Let's dig into the plot of this thing. I figure we're looking at your basic action movie pastiche, complete with Sylvester Stallone as Jack Smith. The film would showcase Stan's talents while also highlighting his dunderhead machismo in a fight for the safety of his family against overwhelming odds. Perhaps we could even fit in an alien invasion, really get Roger involved in the plot. Perhaps, I don't know, we could bring in Emperor Zing and Sinbad's ghost from that episode Lost in Space, and get Aaron Paul to portray Hayley's hubby Jeff. What do you think? Any of my picks hit the nail on the head, or should I be fired and replaced by AI? Let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching Screen Rant.